Welcome to Spiritual Changemakers, the podcast that guides you through tough times with practical tools and inspiring stories. I'm Andreea Tamas, your host and the Sacred Transitions Coach. Join us as we hear from spiritual changemakers who have connected with their higher power and overcame adversity. Whether you are navigating a difficult transition or seeking to deepen your spiritual practice, our podcast provides guidance to help you find magic in the change. Come on this journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and transformation with us and unlock your potential to become your best self. Welcome, my beautiful souls, to a new podcast episode on Spiritual Changemakers. I'm so excited. Today we have Kristen Wonch as a guest. She is the wealth ninja, the investing ninja. That's how her course is called. That's how she's calling herself. And I have been following her for, I would say probably 2 years or so on social media. I have been seeing her work. I've been wanting to invest in the work she does, but I was just skeptical and not ready and so on. But we'll dive deeper into all of that. All I want to say is that she is an expert in what she is doing. And this is an episode that you truly want to dive deep and listen to, because we're going to go deep into investing, into what's holding people back when it's coming to like being spiritual and investing. How do you tenfold, 100-fold your investments? And just so you know a little bit about Kristen, who she is and what she has been doing, because she is actually a serial entrepreneur and she's an industry leading speaker and top ranked podcast host. And Kristen Wonch, she actually demystifies investing for women. So she does speak specifically to women. If you're a man and listening to this, I'm sure you can still get benefit of it. But after a successful business exit, she's actually now coached 500 plus women across 12 countries to literally build profitable, predictable investment portfolios without guesswork or gambling. And she spoke on Necker Island. She's been featured in Forbes and built a portfolio that has performed the market every year by more than 5% without a Wall Street bro. And she's a wizard with numbers. And I'm so excited, Christy, to have you here. I know you are the founder of Compounding Queen Methods, and that's the world's first tech woman that it teaches women how to build low maintenance 6, 7, 8-figure portfolios without watching the market daily or just day trading crypto. So I'm so excited to have you on. Welcome.
It's so good to be here, my love. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And I know you have been in the finance world for a long time now. You used to work, I think, on the Wall Street in you work in the finance world with all the bro men and doing the investing like a man and so on. But I'm curious, what was truly that brought you now where you are today to work with women and help them become sovereign, and the steward of their money?
Yeah. So I did used to be a commodities trader. I was not on Wall Street in New York. I was in Calgary, Alberta. But yes, a very much a male-dominated industry. I was one of a handful of women. I was on an open plan trading floor. And so it's a very high pressure, high stress, like very bro-y job. Like you don't cry on the trading floor. You don't have emotions. And I built a lot of success in my career and I loved it in a lot of ways, but the industry and the lifestyle was very much killing me. I was drinking heavily. I was partying lots. Like the job really required it of me. And even though I was making a ton of money, I was just spending all my money because I was living in fight or flight. And I ended up getting laid off from my career. And I could have easily just gone back and gotten another job in the industry, but I just knew that I needed to really change my life in a dramatic way. And that was the first time actually I took my severance and I came down to Costa Rica. And I really started to reflect on like what was next for me and what I was actually meant to be doing in the world. And it was many years and a long journey of introspection and really going deep on what that meant for me. I built, one business and then another. And it was, I think, about 5 or 6 years ago that it actually really hit me, the work that I'm meant to be doing in the world. 10 years ago when I was laid off from that corporate career was when I really knew I was meant to change the world for women. But it would be a number of years before I really understood what that looked like for me. And the program that I now run, the work that we do together is really an amalgamation of my background in finance. I have an MBA. I have years in the trading industry, a really deep understanding of the finance world, but also a really deep understanding of our internal state and our internal beliefs and all of the things, that limiting beliefs that get in our way as people, but especially as women, around money, around wealth, around finance, and all of the things that hold us back from creating the net worth and the wealth that we desire. And so when I built this program, it was, of course, it solves a tactical problem. It teaches women how to invest in a very simple way, but it really addresses their internal state around, how do I be the woman that can hold wealth at high levels? How can I be the woman that is able to receive, that is fully supported by a portfolio, that feels, safe and secure and stable, being the woman that is a really powerful steward of money. So she has the skills and the tactics and, the education and the strategy, but she also has the embodiment of what it means to actually be a 1% woman. And so, I had dinner with my dad last night and I was in tears, and he's like, I'm so proud of you, Kristen. And I was like, I just know to the depths of my soul that this is what I'm meant to be doing in the world. And I feel it's such a gift. And I feel so grateful that not everybody has landed on that. Like that, I wake up every day and I just feel so grateful that, I get to work with women like you, and that women are hungry for this, and that I am, uniquely positioned and gifted to teach it in the world. And it's life-changing work. It truly is. And so I feel very, very blessed.
Yeah. And this work that you do, and working with money and investing and so on, it has been for so long a men's world, no? And I think it's just been a few years ago that women are just stepping more and more into this world. And I remember even for me, when probably 2018, it's when I first started looking into it and investing, and I was like, wow, this is so exciting, so fun. But at the same time, very, very fast, I became so overwhelmed by the jargon, by all the words. And there is so much information out there. And what I noticed even with myself at that time, I'm like, oh my God, I have to step back. This is too much. It's too overwhelming. I don't want to day trade. I don't want to just be constantly on my computer and day trade. That's not my dream. So I literally just step back, and then I've just let my investments there in the accounts. I'm like, they're just gonna grow how they're gonna grow, and ignore them, like totally ignore them. And after I sold my home last year, I'm like, okay, I have this capital, I have this cash. I really want to invest, and I don't just want to invest, but I want to become sovereign about investing. And it was like a very scary decision, because I'm like, okay, that means I really have to look at all of my shit. I have to look at all of my accounts. I have to make some decisions, and I would love to hear this from you, but one of the biggest things is like just staying in indecision of the fear of not making mistakes.
Yes.
And that's what was happening with me as well. And then I just got so tired of not making decisions, where I'm like, okay, I need support. And that's when I decided to join your program. And I'm like, there's never going to be like the right time, the perfect moment. There is always going to be like 100 million other things that are happening, but this is a priority. So I would love to hear from you, like, what are some of the biggest like fears that are holding especially women back when it comes to learning how to invest and become sovereign with their money?
Yeah. I mean, just to start off with, the biggest, men and women are biologically wired differently. So women are a lot more risk averse than men. And it does not mean that they're bad at investing. It actually, the stats show that our returns are better, but it does mean that you really have to address the fear that you just named, that women are afraid to lose money. So we really want to, create wealth, but we don't want to lose money in the process. And so what happens for people, and this is what you've just described, is a reflection of how the industry is intentionally designed. So it is designed to confuse us, not give us clarity or keep us educated. It is one of the few industries in the entire world where more information and more learning doesn't give you more clarity. It actually leaves you more confused.
Yeah.
And what happens when people start to dive into it is that every Tom, Dick, and Harry has their own opinion about what's going to make you money. And there are a lot of cowboys out in the industry. And so there are so many different people throwing so many different pieces of data at you, different strategies, and you have no idea who to trust or what to do to actually do it properly. And so people do one of three things. Either they avoid it entirely because it's so confusing. They're so overwhelmed that they're just like, oh my God, I'm going to ostrich and head in the sand. And the thing is, investing, and I actually talked about this with my dad yesterday, investing is the one thing I think out of like most other places in our lives where it's the one thing that you can just keep putting off forever because it doesn't ever feel urgent. Right.
Yes.
Even though this like every day matters. And the sooner you get started, every percentage point, a 1% better return on your investments adds an extra 35% to your overall net worth in the next 30 years. So if you think about that, like tiny moves today, if you get started now, actually like are life-changing money. But back to what I was sharing before, we tend to be head in the sand about it because we get confused, we get overwhelmed, and we're like, oh my God, holy shit, it's too much. I don't know what to do. I'll do it later. The second option that people have is that they start guessing. So they just start haphazardly investing, or they think that day trading is how you actually invest properly. Again, because they're being misled by information out there, and they end up losing money that way, right? Because guessing and gambling, like it's the same with going to the casino. It's very easy to win at the casino once or twice. It is almost impossible because the house always wins eventually. It is impossible to win long-term doing that. Or the third thing that people do is they blindly trust some Wall Street dude, some advisor with their money because they're like, oh my God, an expert will do it better. And we don't have time to get into all the details, but from this work, advisors will charge you, a 1% fee. A 1% fee will do the opposite to what I just shared. A 1% fee will take 25 to 35% of your net worth. And that's not the only fee that advisors are charging. There's all kinds of hidden fees. Like you've seen them when we start uncovering people's portfolios. It's insanity. And then the third piece around advisors is they're always just underperforming the market. So the truth and the reality is that you can actually, when you clear away the 98% of the noise in the industry and just learn the 2% that I teach you guys, the 2% of things that matter, build a very simple portfolio that you don't have to worry about, you actually feel so powerful with money. And I think the surprising result of all of it is that people think it's going to be a lot of work and that it's going to be a huge chore and it's going to be something that, you had mentioned, you're avoiding it. But when you actually get it all cleaned up, it's so exciting to look at. Like I look forward to opening my investment accounts because I know what's there. I know exactly how it's doing. I know what decisions to make. And it's all happening effortlessly in the background of my life. And it feels really exciting. Like it's something that you want to lean into. And so, yes, it can feel scary. Like if we were to turn on the light in a dirty room for the very first time, it can be scary to look at that. But once you actually look at it, you're like, okay, just takes a little bit of cleanup here. And then you have this beautiful room that you feel so cozy in that you actually want to spend time in instead of turning off the light, never opening the door ever in your house and not having that room available to you. And so I think that's, the feeling of empowerment and confidence and excitement around investing is something that people don't realize is available once they just learn a few of the right things.
Yes, and what I'm learning a lot also through being part of your program is the simplicity, like really how to keep it simple, because we are taught within the society that have a very big diversification and a lot of different investments in order to be safe. And what you are showing, it's actually no, the simpler is the better. How can we keep it? And that brings the confidence and the empowerment.
Yeah. What? One analogy I really like to compare it to is imagine if you were terrible in the kitchen and somebody told you had to bake an 8-tier wedding cake. and they didn't tell you what to put in it. There was no recipe, and they're just like, go. And then you have Bobby Flay screaming at you in the background of your kitchen, and it's so stressful. And the reality is, a wedding cake might look nice even if you were to figure it out, but it tastes like shit.
Yeah.
When you actually think about it, if you want a really delicious cookie, like think about a shortbread cookie. A shortbread cookie is three very simple ingredients. It's flour, it's sugar, it's butter. I'm terrible in the kitchen, but even I can bake that. And so imagine you just had somebody tell you, here's the three simple ingredients. Here is the proportions you need them in. Put them together, put it in the oven, and you're done. And people think that they have to be able to build a wedding cake in order to make it happen. But actually, the shortbread cookie is the better option, and it's so much easier.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I love that, because would you say also that's part of like a woman's mentality and how we operate, that we tend to complicate things and believe that the more complex and complicated it is, the better results we are going to have? Or is just a human thing?
I think women sometimes do, but I also think that the industry is misleading us into believing that that's true. Like when I review client portfolios, I was just doing one yesterday. There's, 47 investments in it, or I had another one the other day with 178 investments. And so these are both being managed by an advisor, one's by a robo-advisor, and so these are, expert financial institutions that are overcomplicating these portfolios. And what I uncovered in both of those, and this happens every single time I see an advisor managed portfolio, is they're just underperforming the market. It actually doesn't need to be that complicated, but we're being led to believe by the experts, by the industry, that complicated equals better returns, when it's actually the opposite. It's like the whole thing is the biggest, conspiracy theories aside, it's actually just a whole scam. They should be teaching us these very simple skills when we're in school, but they don't.
Yes. So what would you advise those women? Because I was literally having a conversation with a friend the other day, and she's like, Andreea, like, have you been investing? Like, can you share with me anything at all? Because I'm very new to it. I've never done it. I don't even know where to start. Like, what would you recommend to those women who have a desire but don't even know where to start?
Yeah. First, I think that what you've just described, having more conversations with your girlfriends about this space, I think that's really something I really deeply desire for all of us women, that to make these conversations the norm, because it gets to be exciting. Like the things that you're investing in and that you're sharing with her and that you're excited about are going to spark excitement and engagement from her. And so I think that's really our opportunity as women as we move into this next era. And as far as, a specific guidance for your friend, definitely, like I have a podcast that's called The Wealth Equation, and there's, almost 200 episodes of a really great place to start, or reaching out to me directly, and really the reason that the program that you and I do together is structured at 6 weeks long, right, is because it's actually difficult to become confident in less than 6 weeks. If you don't understand what are the investments available, what does my current portfolio look like, what do my allocations need to be for my risk tolerance, my timeline, my goals, and what do I need to choose inside that portfolio? And once you learn all those things, it's actually very simple, and you're so confident, and you have a portfolio you can manage in less than a year. But I find when people are kind of just dipping their toe in and sort of dabbling is where they get more confused, because they're reading books. They're like, does this apply to me? What about my country, my specific situation? I'm married, I'm single. And so I think this is, one of the reasons we do this work. And of course, I'm not the only person you can learn this from, but it is really powerful to have somebody who is in your corner, guiding you through the process of selecting the best investments for you with the right strategy. And once you see it, and this is the difference between what I do and an advisor chooses your investments for you and keeps you in the dark. I teach you why we make all the decisions along the way. So you're like, oh, that makes sense. I get it. And the decisions are done, and then it's just all set up. So, people spend years and years, and it took me many years, like almost a decade of trial and error to figure out, the right way forward. But I can collapse time for people into a couple of weeks because we don't I tell them what things to ignore and what things to focus on, and we just get it done. And so it depends what stage everyone is at, right? Sometimes you're just in the research phase, and that's where places like the podcast are great. And sometimes you're like, this is like something I've been delaying forever, and I know I want to get it done. And like, now is the time, and I'm ready. And that's when I think, having the support of a container is so powerful.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with it, because I've already have done some moves, like that I have been procrastinating on for a while, just by being part of the program. And what comes up as I hear you, Kristen, is like, okay, I want to invest. I don't know where to start, but I'm not ready to invest in a course. The podcast maybe doesn't give me, like, it gives me some like overview of things, but not deep enough. And I want to move forward, but I still have a lot of doubts. Like, what is that breaking point, would you say, for women that they're like, okay, I'm done procrastinating, I'm done waiting, I'm gonna freaking take action right now? What makes them, when do they know, like, okay, I'm done and I'm at that point of like really making a change? What have you seen with your clients and working with over 500 women so far?
Yeah, usually it is a significant life event. Like, some of them have just gotten divorced, or they're thinking about getting divorced and they feel very vulnerable, or they hit a big age, like 30. Usually it actually doesn't happen at 30 sometimes, but often it happens at 40 or 50. And they start to be actually thinking about, oh my God, like retirement is coming, or, I don't want to be working until I die. And they actually start thinking about the future. Whereas when we're in our 20s, we're just like living in the land of delusion, where we're like, oh my God, this is a tomorrow problem. And I say that without any judgment. That's where I was. That's why I was frittering all my money away, because I just believed that I could always make more money. And so I think what I would really encourage women into is what I didn't understand when I was in my 20s, which is if I had started investing consistently in my, I would have had like between $1 and $2 million more in my portfolio now. And so that's the power of getting started early. And so I would really encourage women I actually have an investment growth calculator. So that's something they can dive into. I'll maybe send it through to you, and we can just link it in the podcast notes. That will show you what the rate of growth of your investments are based on your current portfolio, your contributions, like how much do you need to be contributing in order to get to where you want to be, at X age. And so I think one of the things that I didn't realize, nobody ever showed me the math on, I just thought that I should be, I was working 50, 60 hours a week in my corporate job. I was spending all my time earning what was great money, but the amount of money your investments will earn you is 10x, 100x, over the time period, what your hours can be traded for now. It doesn't matter like how big your highest ticket client is, how big your packages are, if you do big consulting work, whatever money you're generating per client or per hour right now pales in comparison to what your investments can do for you. And so when you really get present to that, it's like, holy shit, I'm spending 50 hours a week working on my business, and I'm lying to myself that I can't spend 2 hours this week on my portfolio. That is insane. And then the other thing I would just get present to is why. What is the story that you are telling yourself right now? Like, just drop into it and really get present to what is the story that you're telling yourself that is creating like whatever feeling you have about investing. Maybe you feel confused or you feel overwhelmed. Like when you think about diving into your investments or you feel resistance, what is the sentence that your mind is telling you? I'm not good at this. It's complicated. It's going to take me a lot of time to learn. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to lose money. I'm going to fuck it up. Like whatever that story is a lie. It's just a figment of your imagination that your mind invented. We have all kinds of stories happening all the time. And some of the stories that we have for ourselves are really powerful. You might believe that you're the kind of person that can figure out anything. You might believe that you're a really confident leader. You might believe that you're great at social media. You might believe that you're a great coach or a great web designer. You might believe that all of those powerful stories, well, you just invented those too, right? And so we can just make up any stories that we want. And so I would encourage you guys to just reflect on the things that I'm telling myself about investing, about my portfolio, about my net worth. Are those stories serving me? Are they making me feel the way I want to feel about it?
Yeah.
And if you're feeling confused or overwhelmed, probably not, right? Are they leading to the actions that are actually going to get me to where I want to be? And are they creating the results that I say I desire in my life? If you want to be rich, telling yourself that investing is too complicated for you to figure out is not going to be helping you getting there. And so we get to change those stories. We get to make up a new story that helps support us to get us where we want to be. And some of these things, you know, the tragedy of it is that a lot of these stories, especially, you know, I can't count how many times I've heard women come into my work and say, I'm not good with math, or I'm not good with numbers,
Yeah.
or I'm not good at money. And it's a societal programming thing that has been so deeply ingrained in us that that alone is one of the hardest stories for me to rewire with clients, because they just so deeply believe it to be true. I'm
Yeah.
like, first of all, you don't need to be good at math to be investing at all. But even if you think numbers are the hardest thing in your entire life, telling yourself that over and over and over again is not going to get you to where you want to be if you want to be really, really rich, right? So perhaps just open yourself up to the possibility that numbers, investing really simply, setting up a portfolio is just another skill. And the same way you learn how to cook, the same way you learn how to play tennis, the same way you learn how to drive a car, even though there was a time in your life when you had no fucking idea how to do that, of course you can learn this, just like you learn everything else. Your listeners are like the listeners, they've probably built successful businesses. They're leaders in their field. They've had a lot of success in so many areas of their lives. Why wouldn't you be able to do this?
Yeah, and I love that. I love just taking it as a skill and just knowing
Yeah.
with any skill, know that we are developing, that at the beginning it's gonna be hard. We're gonna suck, and to be willing to suck at the beginning. I think that's
Yeah.
one of the biggest thing, but know that the more we do it, the better we are gonna understand, and we're gonna gain that confidence. And I would say that the confidence that comes with like knowing your numbers, like seeing the sexy spreadsheets with all of the investments, I'm like, oh my God, I literally get turned on.
I know. I know,
But
right?
I'm like,
I know.
I'm doing this. Like I'm doing it. And I know I'm like, I'm still not fully grasping what's happening, but I'm on my way to understand. I'm on my way
Yeah.
to learn and to see it as a progression now, instead of this static of like, because I've run like what you were sharing. I've run that story that I'm not good with math. I'm not good with number my whole life. I'm just not good with it. I've not been good in school with math, like probably was the hardest class for me. And I'm like, I just took it on. I'm like, I'm just not good with numbers. And at the same time, I have been able to like have money and generate money throughout my whole life. So I'm like, okay, do I really need to know the math to like make money? No, but it gets to a point where we do need to become smarter, know about it. Okay, I make, but then to don't just spend all of it. So this is where
Yeah.
it takes me to holding the money, because this was a big thing that was happening to me as well. After I sold the home, I was feeling so uncomfortable holding, a big amount of money. And I was like, oh my God, this is like where I'm stretching to learn, like my container, to learn how to keep money instead of automatically thinking, what am I going to spend them on? And I would love for you to touch on that, on what have you seen with women when it comes to holding money and the spiritual communities. What's really underneath that?
Yeah. I think another piece of societal programming is really that there's something wrong with having a lot of money, especially in the spiritual community. It's like, if I have more, others have less. And the whole thing, it's really
Mm-hmm.
interesting because that whole paradigm is really based in scarcity. It's like the idea, when I have more, you have less, which is crazy. It's actually just not true. And again, it's not a helpful story to be telling ourselves, but we've been sold that lie for a very long time. And so really, just back to what I was saying before, around we can create any story that we want. just think about it. Do you think that if anybody listening, if you have a really deep soul driven goal of helping a lot of people, like having a big impact in the world, whether it's your business or whether it's through philanthropy or just like having, being a support in your community, like whatever it is, you want to impact more people, right? We as spiritual humans, we really have a deep desire to help as many people as we can. Do you think you're going to help more people if you're rich or if you're broke?
100% if you're
right?
rich.
Like you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're in survival mode, you have no time or resources to help anybody if you aren't helping yourself. And a lot of people listening probably are not in survival mode. But if you think about Xing your net worth right now, would you be helping less people or more? So money doesn't change who you are. It just makes you more of what's already there, right? So it amplifies. If you're a bad person now, 10xing your net worth is just going to make you have more resources to do whatever it is that you're doing now times 10. But if you're a good person, and if you're listening to this, if you're listening to the Spiritual Changemaker podcast, you are probably a very good person, right? You're already doing good things in the world. And I bet that you wish you had more time and more money to help more people. So stop making it wrong that you want to be better resourced. And the other thing is that the money that we earn, whether it's through investments or our businesses, like we also deserve to be able to spend that on ourselves. We deserve the luxury of just being able to spend our own money and being super supported and having the luxury of whatever it is that we want, whether it's vacations or an expensive leather bag or first class flights. Like, why would there be any better use of your money than being able to spend it on yourself, right? It doesn't mean that you're not also helping other people in the world, but why have we, just reflecting on it, like why would there be anything wrong with you having the things in your life that you desire, and the money that you're earning? The other frame that I would love for people to consider is the money that we all earn in the world is a reflection of the value that we are creating in the world. So the only reason that somebody pays me for my work is because I'm creating way more value in their life than they're ever paying me. And that is true for all of us, whether you're a dentist or whether you are, whatever it is, whether you're working in corporate. So you are adding value for people in the world. If you're in a job, you are going to work 9 to 5. If you run a business, you are selling offers, you are delivering services, you are making products for people. And those products and services are worth something to them. And in fact, those products and services are worth more than they are paying you. Otherwise, they'd never pay you. If somebody doesn't believe that there's more value than they're getting, there would be no transaction. And so whenever I make an offer into the world, when somebody invests in my program or when somebody buys anything from me, I know that they're excited to do it. Like, think about when we all buy things, right? The last thing you purchased, were you excited about it? Unless it was a repair bill for your mechanic, even in that scenario, right? That mechanic is fixing your car and you really want the car to be roadworthy, right? So every single time we spend money, we are getting so much value back. And it's true when people are paying us too. And so the idea that there's something wrong with charging a lot of money is honestly crazy. There's something wrong with earning a lot of money. It's crazy because the money is just a reflection of the value you're delivering for other people. And I think it's really important for us to get very, very present to that.
Yes. So let's go deeper there. Because what is even value? No, I want us to go into what is even value. So how would you define the value that we provide? Because I've heard this many times also, that the value, it's in the eye of the beholder. For example, what even our services, someone will be willing literally to pay for your services, literally $100,000 for you to help them create a $10 million portfolio, and someone else is going to come and be like, oh my gosh, I would never pay that much for that support or for that course.
Yeah.
So how is it even defined, the value that we provide into the world?
Yeah. I love this question. It is such an interesting one. When you think about buyer psychology, so yes, what you've described is exactly true. Think about if I was, and I like to break it down into simple examples. Think about if I was selling a cashmere sweater, a $500 cashmere sweater to a rich mom that lives in, in LA, she sees a lot of value and has no problem. She's well-resourced. She has no problem spending $500 on a sweater. She wants the sweater. She spends the money. She loves that transaction. You try to sell that same sweater to a 16-year-old boy whose main priority is playing video games and eating pizza, you are going to be hard pressed. And he also probably doesn't have the resources to spend $500 on a sweater. You are going to be very hard pressed to sell that sweater to him. And so what's the difference in the sweater? Absolutely nothing. So how valuable is the sweater? Like, what's the sweater actually worth? Is it $500 or is it nothing? There is no absolute value to anything. And what you just described around, values in the eye of the beholder, it totally is. There's no absolute value of anything, whether it's a car or a house or a sweater or a coaching program. There is only the perceived value to the buyer. And that perceived value is going to be different depending on the buyer. And it also is going to be perceived as more or less valuable depending on how you show up and how you present it, which is why it's so important in our marketing to clearly communicate what it is that we do and the result that we deliver for people, and also be very convicted that they're going to get that result. Like, I know I can help you, instead of wavering and waffling around it like, oh, maybe I don't know what you need. It's like, no, I've done this 100 times. I absolutely know we can go there. And so that level of conviction and certainty is also something that especially high ticket buyers are buying. And so when we think about it, there are a number of things that go into the perceived value of something. It's what's important to that person, right? Is it important for me? Cashmere sweaters, is that important to me? Are video games important to me? Is organic food important to me, right? It's like, it has to do with my values. It has to do with how well resourced I am, right? Am I earning 10 million a year, or am I earning 30 grand a year, right? And what are my priorities at both of those levels are going to be very different, right? And so when you think about all of this, instead of trying to decide how much is your work worth, you just decide who is going to see the most value in what you do, right? Stop trying to sell your cashmere sweater to a 16-year-old boy and telling yourself that the sweater is made wrong or that it's priced wrong, and find the people that find a lot of value in what you already do. One of the examples here around, the Spiritual Changemaker podcast, right? When you market to that, it's very clear who it's for. If you're a spiritual person who's trying to make change in the world, I'm interested in listening to this, right? Versus somebody that considers themselves, an atheist or is, just working in the matrix, they're probably not going to be, their interest is not going to be piqued by that title. And so you're not trying to change the topic of what you're presenting. You're just like, this is who I am and what I do. And these are the people that are going to naturally be attracted to it. And then the last piece around value is price. And this is a really fascinating one. If you think about it, when you go to the grocery store, there are maybe 5 different types of sugar on the shelf. And some of them are probably double the price of the others. Well, when you think about it, and this is going to be different from everyone, which aside from the brand name, and even the brand name is associated with a certain, level of price. But if all you had to know was the price, which one would you choose? They're all the same sugar. Like, they're all the same. So many of the products that we find are the same, but there are buyers that want to pay more for shit. I am one of those buyers. I would rather pay 10 grand for somebody to just show me what to do, just train me in a couple of weeks, than spend $33 on a free or on a DIY program, because I value my time. And so I would rather pay more for something because it is a reflection for me of the certainty that person has in their product and the quality of it. I would rather pay more for high quality. So even if the sugar was all the same, I assume it's better quality because the price is higher. Yes. And so it's really interesting. I'm not the kind of person that's trying to save money in the grocery store. And so if we think that everyone's trying to save money, we underprice our programs. And I have seen this over and over and over again, because I've been in business many years and I've priced things at many different levels. And I will tell you with absolute fucking certainty, and if anyone is multitasking, come back to this now if this is the only thing that you take away from this episode. People value things more when they have paid more for them. Yeah. It is just absolutely true. All else being equal, if you doubled your prices right now, the buyer would value it more. They would be more invested and they would be more likely to get better results.
Yes.
than if they
Yeah.
paid half the price. And I have seen this over and over and over again. So we think we're
Mm.
doing our clients a service by giving discounts or underpricing ourselves. And you are actually stealing from them their opportunity to get the best results from you, because
Mm.
it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with how people commit when they have skin in the game.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I've seen that over and over again with my clients as well, and with myself. No, like with
Yeah.
me, like when I buy and invest in something that's like, I don't
You
know,
know,
$30 or whatever, it's like, ah, I can just keep it. I don't really need to do it or whatever. When I invest thousands and
yeah.
thousands of dollars, I'm like, how can I make the most out of it? It's like, who do I need to become? How do I need to show
Yeah.
up? And it's like, all I'm thinking it's about that afterwards.
Yeah. You know what's fascinating? I'll give you an example that just popped into my mind. Over the last couple of years, there have been a handful of times where I have done scholarships for my program. And because I coach live and, I really invest in clients, and I spend a lot of time giving a lot to clients inside the container, I can't just give away willy-nilly. It's not just an online program I can give away to everybody. So I'm very selective about this. And every time I've done these scholarships, it's always to somebody who, is not as resourced and wouldn't necessarily be able to afford it otherwise, or wouldn't have invested. And I'm like, this is my way of giving back. It's one of the things that I've done as a business owner because I can. And every single time I've done it, that client is one of the worst clients, and
Mm,
not bad people, but they literally just don't show up the same way the other women do. They don't,
yeah.
they ghost calls. They're very laxy daisy about things. They don't get the work done. And I'm like, holy shit, I've just given them a program, this insane opportunity that women are paying thousands of dollars to be in, and they've just squandered it.
Mm.
And it's fascinating because they have the same opportunity everyone else does, but because they haven't paid for it, they really don't value it in the same way. And so I had to stop doing it because I'm like, I'm not serving them or me. And so
I
it's really
agree.
fascinating. We think that that's a great way to give, to give back to people. But when people have, like I was saying, when they have skin in the game, they get better results.
It is true. And I would also add there the fact that I used to believe exactly the same thing and see it exactly the same until, for example, I have been in the world of one of my mentors that I've been learning Kabbalah. And his strategy and the way he's selling his stuff is pay what you can, whatever, even if it's $1. And then he has these bigger amounts that other people subsidize pretty much for those that cannot afford to pay. And I have to say that for me, for example, with his work, even like I paid hundreds of dollars for some of his things, I paid $11. But because I'm so committed to the work, to his energy, to the way like he's delivering, like I'm so into it, I am there 100% in, no matter how much I pay.
Yeah. And you might be, I do think I love that example. It is an interesting model, right? Because what it actually does is people do have skin in the game. So it's not that they're getting
Mm-hmm.
it for free. And
Yes.
what's kind of happening with that model is that people are paying, and there's probably some nuance to this, but if you think about, for somebody earning, $10 million a year, $1,000 investment is not going to feel like a lot. From somebody earning
Mm-hmm.
50 grand a year, $1,000 is going to feel like a lot. So what feels like a lot to one person is not the same amount that feels like a lot to another. So maybe what he's creating there is like giving you an opportunity to have some skin in the game at a level that feels like you're committed, but not overstretched. And so for everyone, that's going to be different, which is beautiful. But I would also invite you into the space of, you might be unique because there are some people, like, it's fascinating for me. Like, anything I join, I'm the person that like does all the work. I'm like, give me all the videos right away. I'm like diving right in. I don't delay shit. I'm like, I watch all the call replays. I watch them back. I do all the homework. I'm like all in, kind of committed. And it sounds like maybe that's who you are too, but a lot of people are not like that. A lot of
Yeah.
people are different. They show up differently. And so I think that maybe that might be a reflection of, it's the reason that you've probably created the success you have, is because you're all in when you say yes to something. And it is reflected in the results that you get, right? And those are like dream clients to have, because it's like the ones that show up and it's like, just tell me what to do and I do it. And like, they're all in. It's a really beautiful thing. It's like, of course you're going to make things happen.
Yeah, I love that. And taking it back, the conversation to the investments, and let's see how is this correlated, like the value, because you mentioned a little bit back, like, okay, you receive based on the value you bring out into the world. So how do we now correlate and bring this together with the investments?
You mean the value that you're receiving from your
value
investment?
that you bring with the receiving, like I'm open to receive, to like have a container where I can hold. How do we tie them all together?
Can you just share exactly what you mean?
Yes. So I was asking you, for example, I was sharing how I sold my home and I had a hard time holding the money. And then we went into the receiving part, from which we went into the thread of value. And then if we cannot hold the money, then we have nothing to invest with. And then it also comes the belief of like, oh my God, I need a big amount of money in order to start investing. So what is like when I'm starting and I'm like, maybe I have $10, $100, I don't know, $1,000 that I would be willing to invest right now, but that's not enough. What would you say, like, what people can start with, and can they start also when they have debt, when they are in debt?
Yeah. I think everything, we can, first of all, you can start with any amount of money. If you're investing on your own, you can start with $100. You can open an account and you can put it in, and you can absolutely start. You don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars by any means. That is a great way to dip your toe in, to get comfortable with okay, what's it doing? I would not suggest watching your investments every day, because the highs and the lows of what's happening on a daily basis are literally irrelevant. And sometimes it puts you into more fear. But I really think that everything comes down to your beliefs. The conversation that we're having around value, what do you believe to be true about the value you're putting out into the world, about what you're capable of earning, about about how valuable your work is, and the kind of leader and business owner that you are. When it comes to investing, the same thing. What you're believing about your ability to invest, about your ability to learn investing, and what, the conversation around receiving, also your beliefs. One of the biggest limiting beliefs that I really had to overcome, that was so deeply ingrained and still to this day, is it's my MO is to work very hard, because my whole life I've been praised for working very hard. So I became that little hard worker who I would get 98% on a math test when I was younger, and I'd beat myself up because I'm like, why didn't I get 100? I was like a hyper perfectionist. And so that served me in a lot of ways, because I got amazing grades in school. Even though I got in trouble all the time, I did very well in my corporate career. I got, a master's degree. I was checking all the boxes, right? And so that serves us, that hardworking story serves us in a lot of ways, but it is our greatest downfall, because what it means is that I think this actually leads a lot of women to spend a lot of time working harder in their businesses instead of investing in their portfolio, because we don't allow it to be easy, right? It's like when I opened my portfolio, I was looking at it last night and I was like, holy shit. Like the amount of money that my investments have made for me without me doing anything over the last couple of years alone is insanity. And so, of course, I'm still building my business. I'm obsessed with my work in the world. I love my clients. Like I don't have any desire to stop working. I'm not doing it for the money. So while that is true, that I love my business, not allowing it to be easy and for the money to flow in effortlessly is a reason that we don't allow ourselves to be supported by our investments, because we spend time telling ourselves or reliving the pattern of my money has to be hard work or I don't deserve it. And I'll share one little personal example with you. My dad is actually visiting in Costa Rica right now, and it's been a very special time. He, back to what I was saying, for many years, I've been the woman that can take care of myself. I do everything on my own. I can change a tire. I can, do all the things. Of course I can. And so my dad is here and he is building this thing outside of my house for me. He has this little work project in the back. And he was going to the hardware store the other day and I was like, oh, I'll give you cash for, the building supplies. And he's like, no, I've got it. And I felt myself resist him Like just resist the words of like, no, I want to take care of it. Like I don't want him to pay for it. He's doing all the work. And I just like looked at him in the eyes and I just like literally I had to like intentionally just allow in that support. I'm like, no, he wants to take care of it and you got to let him do this because he's getting so much joy out of it. And so that was one like little micro moment of where I recognized, and these happen all the time, where we have this tendency to make it harder than it needs to be because we think we have to do everything on our own. We're used to carrying a lot of people and being the ones having it all together. And when the opportunities are available for it to be easier for us to allow that support, and sometimes we say no, and it's like, just let it in. Like, just let it in, just let it in. And so I allowed him, like, it's such a joy. And he even said this to me after, like, it's such a joy for him to be able to support in that way. So sometimes it's allowing the support of other people in your life, but sometimes it's allowing, the flow of your money to be a lot easier than we make it out to be. And you deserve it. It does not need to be hard work. We can be the women that can handle anything and address the challenges and lean into them and work hard when we have to, but sometimes it gets to be easy.
Yeah. And I love you share that because I can relate so much with the high achieving perfectionist working hard. I've done all of it throughout my life. And I was literally reflecting even this past week. And I'm like, how can I grow through pleasure? How can I grow like with ease? Because I was relating so much growth with pain. I'm like, that's how I grow, by like challenging myself, by saying yes to the challenge and just going head on into it. And then I'm gonna learn and keep going. And I was like, wait, that's like an old model. It's an old way of living and doing things. And now I feel even the shift of energies, that we have moved into, that they are so different and requires a different version of ourselves where we can allow money to work for us instead of us to constantly work for money.
Yeah. And the power of having investments set up for you is you get excited by them and it feels, you use the word turn on. I love that. Like you're turned on by your money, but you also have this sense of stability and safety and just like at ease with things. It's like, things are fine. My business could have the worst month. I could get sick. I could go on mat leave and like, I'm fine. Like things are good. I have this like level, this baseline level of safety. And it's so beautiful. You described before, you're only a couple weeks into the program and it's the place where we're shedding light on everything that's there. And we haven't even gotten to the like, okay, here's actually how we clean it up, the couple things we do. And when we get to that, right, it's only going to take you 2 more weeks and everything will be fully invested. You'll know exactly what decisions have been made. And then your portfolio will be set up for you to manage effortlessly. And almost all the work is done. And then you're just in the phase of like, oh my God, I get to just enjoy this thing that is set up and working harder for me than I am for it. And it's like, it is such a turn on. I love that. Yeah.
Yes. And, I want to share with all of the women, everyone that's listening, that is possible for each and every one of you. Like, we are not special. We are not different. We just had the willingness and the desire to learn the skill, as Kristen was sharing, learn the skill and then go for it and trust the process and don't overcomplicate things.
Yeah, totally. For me to learn investing and decipher an entire industry, it took me years and years and years and a lot of mistakes and a lot of money made, or a lot of money lost and money made. And that is such like my gift in the world is that the women that work with me don't have to spend all that time. Like I did it for them, which is why I can collapse time for people. It's like, this is what we all get to do. Everything that has been hard for all of us in our lives, the lessons that we've learned the hard way, that is the wisdom that we get to impart to clients or friends in minutes or seconds or hours, right? So that they can learn things faster and get results even faster and live, happier, more fulfilled lives more deeply. And so sometimes things are hard, but our gifts through those things are that we actually get to make it easy for others.
Exactly. And then for ourselves eventually as well.
Yeah. And then in the other areas of our life, we actually get to make it easy for ourselves, right? We get to learn from other people. We get to, learn from the experience of friends. We get to have their wisdom imparted to us in all the places that it gets to be easy.
Yes, and hire mentors, no, because I know, Kristen, like I've been following your journey as well, and I know you have been investing heavily in yourself as well, like going to retreats, working with mentors, with coaches. And how would you say that supported you to be where you are right now compared with you wouldn't have done it?
Oh my God. I'm obsessed with hiring mentors, and not in a bad way, but because it's so, every single person I invest in, whether it's for myself and, my mindset, or, this in the spiritual space, or it's whether it's a specific skill for my business, every single investment I make, I feel more free. So I spend less time on the thing that I was struggling with before, right? And the inner work has created a level of freedom in my life that I never even knew was available for me 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Like, I'm so grateful for these people that I've been able to learn from in all these spaces that I didn't even realize were available when I was younger, because no one ever had those skills to teach me. And hiring mentors, for specific skills, especially, it's like, I would not want to spend the 10 years or the 5 years or the 3 years it took them to learn this thing when they could share it with me in a couple of weeks. I'm like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. I'm like, I love being able to find the person that can collapse time for me. It's like such a gift. And I love feeling supported. I mentioned it before, but I don't want your $33 course. I want to pay you thousands of dollars to show me how to do it in 10 minutes. Right. So it's that beauty of it for me. It's like, I love that. Like, it's the difference actually between valuing time or money more, right? When we try to save money on things, we're valuing money. It's like, I'd rather have those dollars in my bank. It's like, I value my time way more than I value money, because my time is, can create exponential money. And so when we can buy back our time, it's so powerful. And when we can buy freedom for our lives, and that looks different for everyone. Sometimes it's a spiritual mentor that you're investing in, which creates freedom. Sometimes it's a mindset mentor that you're like, just help me unpack what's happening in my brain right now. And sometimes it's a specific skill, whether it's investing or Facebook ads or, anything else we're buying. What we're really buying is freedom.
Yes, that's it. And that's what we are doing for people now. Our work is truly collapsing time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kristen, so much. Do you have any final words, any wisdom that you would like to share with the audience before we wrap up this episode?
Yeah, I truly, for all the women, if there are men listening, I love you too. And you're amazing. And, you deserve all of the freedom in the world too. And, for all the women listening, I want you all to know that this is the era where everything shifts. You had mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, women, it was only in what was it, the 80s or the 90s that we were allowed to own credit cards. So it's only been in the last, couple of decades that we've really been empowered to make money at high levels and been celebrated for it. And there's still, more work to be done there. But I truly believe that this next phase that we are stepping into, this next era, is the era that women are truly free with money, which means that we are confident, capable investors, where we are not afraid of having money conversations, where we feel powerful, not just powerful and resource, but like excited by it, like turned on by it. Money has always been like a masculine game, like a masculine space, right? Especially around investing. And what I want for all women is for you to be like ignited and delighted by your investments, by the level of resource that you have, and just own that so fucking fully that to the depths of your soul that it not just creates the life that you want, but it creates the life that you want to provide also for others. And so I want women everywhere to be excited by that, to not be afraid by it or, have resistance to it. I believe that this is our work as women, that we get to explore this space together and create more together and get excited for the women in our lives who are not just making a lot of money, but are building their portfolios. And I really believe that you're going to start to see this huge shift where women will be talking about investing more, having conversations like you're having with your girlfriends. It's like we will be turned on by this the same way we are turned on by the latest exercise routines or the new line from Lululemon. And I am so excited for that. Like, you guys are all part of creating that. Like, you are part of the 1%, and it's so fun.
Yes, and for those that are listening, you are part of that 1% too, because you are here, you dropped in, you listened, you stayed till the end, which shows your commitment. So I want to invite for those that have listened to just take one action today towards starting on this journey of investment. And in the show notes, you will find Kristen, how she's working, her podcast, her programs, the one that I'm part of as well. And they're absolutely amazing. So there is a wealth of information. Just do not get overwhelmed. Start with one thing small and take that action, because that's how you build the confidence and to keep going. Thank you so much, Kristen, for coming on, for sharing your wisdom with those that are listening. And please reach out to her, as she is truly committed to your success, to become a investing ninja.
Yeah, thank you so much. And, there will be links in the show notes, but if anyone wants to DM me directly, if you have a question or something landed for you from this podcast, I would love to hear it. Like, my DMs are always open for you. And so feel free to just reach out directly. And I'm so grateful to you, my love, for doing this work, and for everybody listening. It's such an honor to be here.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And do not forget to subscribe and leave a review so we can reach more people and spread this message, so more women can prepare themselves to be part of that 1%, to be those investing ninja. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to Spiritual Changemakers podcast. To stay connected and help us reach more people like you, please subscribe, follow, and leave a comment. Join our community of spiritual changemakers on social media to connect with like-minded individuals and continue the conversation. Remember, the power to create positive change is within you. Keep showing up as your best self, and let's keep the magic of change alive. Until next time.